stuck as a candidate? Well, these are issues that the Americans are resolving. But of course, you know that anything that happens in America has a far-reaching impact on the rest of the world. Also tonight, we are reaching you just a few minutes or less than an hour after the PDP governors finished their meeting with the former President Goodluck Jonathan. That meeting took place in his office in Abuja. Well, I also have Mahmoud Akua here with me. I'm Obiora Ilo. Glad you're sitting down and joining the show.
Yes, welcome to all our esteemed viewers to the O&M Late Show. And of course, Obiora, you talked about PDP meeting with the governors, meeting former President Goodluck Jonathan. I think the PDP is still, doing what it can to get his house in order with all the crisis, bedeviling the party with who is the authentic leader, with the law courts naming one person and members of the party insisting that it's one other person. So I think what we are seeing is, all the meetings and, continued talks that we are seeing all are aimed at getting some kind of peaceful resolution, and don't forget that, down the line, there's an election coming up down the line. So they have to get their house in order. They've suffered some dire consequences of a divided house. They lost in Edo as a result of a divided house. The PDP also lost in Ondo as a result of a divided house. And I'm sure they don't want to go into TIETIE elections with a divided house.
Anambra elections too.
Yeah, so they are definitely, going to have to put their act together and get everything clearly sorted out. The leader clearly identified, everybody queuing behind that leader to ensure that they have a common sense of purpose.
And it looks like the PDP is not getting tired of blaming the APC for their woes. Just 24 hours ago, we heard McAfee accusing Rotimi Amechi, and then accusing the Imo State Governor
Rochas
Okorocha of sponsoring the other. I have a problem calling it a faction because it's actually the one recognized by the courts.
I think
but they're insisting that there's an unseen hand, and that hand they are alleging is the hand of APC propelling Almodu Sharif and his group.
For politicians in Nigeria, the first, course you have to undertake, like they say, when you are a jambite in the university, 101, English 101 or something like that. One of the courses that is mandatory is, how to blame somebody else for your own fault.
But it's not just in Nigeria, Mahmoud.
Just how,
it's not just in
politicians,
Nigeria.
I said.
I mean, this afternoon or this morning, we heard Donald Trump blaming former President Obama for the leaks that's going on in the White House and in the Obama government.
Just as the APC here is still continuously blaming PDP for the woes in Nigeria. But, Donald Trump might...
So that's politics 101.
Yeah, that's politics 101. Donald Trump might blame Obama all he can. Truth of the matter is that even as we speak, the French people are going on a drive to get 1 million signatures. There are about 400,000 already. 1 million signatures to hire Barack Obama to become president of France. Already they have 400,000 signatures, and the posters are all over Paris. Obama 2017. The posters are all over Paris as we speak, and the signatures are up to 400,000 already.
Well,
we need to hire him.
We need to look at their constitution and see whether...
No, but the people are saying, I mean, it's a tall order.
They're making a point.
Somebody who, no, but they said, it's not just the point. I mean, you are not from France, so you can't become president. Yeah. But the French people are saying, look, all our candidates are bad. they are all involved in one scandal. So we don't even have a candidate of all the candidates. And we are prepared to make the difficult choice. We are the people. We are supreme. We are bigger than the Constitution, and we can change it. So that's where, I don't know how Obama will be reacting to this, to hire him to become president of France. That's to some extent, it sounds ridiculous. But in the modern world, anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know, anything can happen.
And Mohammed, again, you know, last Sunday,
Yes.
you know, when we started the program, we talked about the excitement of the media team of President Buhari about the calls they had received from their principal, which for a lot of Nigerians was quite embarrassing, that people that are minders and managers and reputation managers of the president just told the world that after 1 month, they had not spoken to their principal. But again, just in a couple of days now, we had the political advisor to the president, Ojodu, actually telling the world that there is no crack in the presidency, that whatever the acting president is doing is as directed by the president, and this and that. And I'm saying that alone tells me there's a crack, that there's a problem.
Well,
you know, because I don't understand. I don't understand it, that someone is acting for the president and then you need to make a point and tell Nigerians, are they saying that the acting president knows nothing, he can't take any initiative, or that if he takes an initiative, he's upstaging his principle?
Yeah, what Mr. Ojodu, or Senator Ojodu saying was that, look, whatever you might want to say that acting President Osinbajo is doing now were all plans laid down by Buhari before he fell ill, or rather before he went on vacation. So you cannot say that Osinbajo is performing better. Well, the truth of the matter is that the ticket is one ticket. The ticket was Buhari Osinbajo. So it's one team. But even when you have a football team of 11 players, you know...
They're exceptional players.
They're exceptional players. And at times, you might bring some from the bench, and you'll be surprised at the kind of dexterity that brought into the game, and then you have true change in the game. Now, Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerian cannot understand all the, you know,
one ticket
policy. No, yeah, all those policies. Look, who is at the helm of affairs? Okay, they say Osinbajo is acting president. The president is on vacation. All of a sudden, team seems to be working well. And the people are just going to say, look, we don't want to go into the complexities of how your team is working and all that. We don't want to know. What we know is that the president is on vacation. The man acting for him, all of a sudden,
he's scoring a couple of goals.
Teams seem to be working better, you know. And so, political advisor to the president, Ojodu, people just are impressed with Osinbajo. That's just the truth of the matter.
But that shouldn't ruffle feathers.
That shouldn't ruffle feathers.
That shouldn't ruffle feathers if we really believe that is a team, is one ticket. So I think it was patently unnecessary for Ojodu to jump into the ring and start telling us that... I mean, some of us had known the vice president before now.
Yeah.
And we know his pedigree. We know what he can do. So if he's been given a task and he does it so well that there are so many results, then I think what Ojodu should do is commend the acting president.
The truth of the matter is that you could run through a long list of things that have happened in the last 1 month under the vice president. I mean, in the Niger Delta, you know, the consultations that have taken place there. He has signed a couple of bills into law.
Refused some.
He refused some. The policy from CBN, the appreciation of the Nigerian naira. You know, look, the changes are visible. We want to see. When the changes are visible, you don't need to, you know, take a megaphone, go out there and start screaming and telling everybody.
I think the takeaway in this is that, look, it's either the president has all the answers, but doesn't know how to get it across to Nigerians. So which means that when he comes back, maybe he should sit down with Osibajo and learn a few lessons how Osibajo sold some of these things to Nigerians, and it's making sense to us.
And then you have to also take into cognizance what former President Obasanjo said. I think that statement he made by the fact that he appreciates that there's some direction with the economy. He said, look, he's happy with Buhari's achievements so far, but he knew from day one that Buhari was weak on economy. For me, saying that, 2 days ago, pointed to me that, look, he understood that Osibajo was making a headway with the economy.
Anyway,
yes,
Mamode, tonight.
But yeah, before we go to tonight, we're not done with the presidency yet. There's one more issue. Lai Mohammed is still with his megaphone screaming and shouting and telling everybody President Muhammadu Buhari is not critically ill. Obiora, can they just keep quiet? Can the Honorable Minister of Information just keep quiet over this? The president is on vacation. That's what we have been told. Can we leave him to be on vacation quietly? If he's attending to medicals, let him attend to medicals quietly. When he's fit, everybody falls ill. Everybody, president or not. When he's okay,
let us know.
He comes back to Nigeria.
Let us know. I think it's becoming too intrusive. This everyday thing. Oh, he's not incapacitated. Oh, he's hale and hearty, and all that. Yes, just like Mamode said, spells this agony of whether he's well or not well. After all, everyone seems to be saying that everything is going well.
Yes, everything's going well.
We miss our president, but not 100%.
Well, not 100%. I think yes, tonight we are going to be talking about xenophobic attacks in South Africa, attacks against Nigerians and other Africans in South Africa, whom they accused of so many crimes. First, a few years ago, it all started with, they were taking our jobs. They were all over the place and all that. But now it has graduated to, they're not only taking our jobs, they're selling drugs on the street, corrupting our people, and getting involved in so many criminal activities. And the people are taking laws into their hands to go after both Nigerians and other Africans.
Anyway, hello, South Africa. Is your country a lawless country? I mean, do people take laws into their hands? You don't take somebody to court. You don't prosecute anybody, and then citizens just come together, condemn somebody to death and then kill them. I mean, the kind of video materials we are seeing on the internet, if there's any truth in those materials, whether they're Nigerians or non-Nigerians, then South Africa has to go back and do some rethink.
Yeah.
Because I saw a young man, allegedly Nigerian, he was sitting down, and these people sat over his matter, so to say, and they were threatening to kill this guy. And this guy takes off running, and they run after him and shoot him to death right there in front of cameras, or call them phone cameras.
Well, a lot of the things have been happening.
So is this a lawless country? And then the president, the Home Affairs Minister, maybe our producer will be able to avail us of his quote, says that this should be discussed at the diplomatic level. What impudence, that Nigerians, hundreds of Nigerians are losing their lives, losing their property, their businesses folding, and the Minister of Home Affairs says it has to be discussed at the diplomatic level.
Tell you what, Obiora, tonight we are going to be talking to Adetola Olubajo, Secretary General of the Nigerian Union in South Africa. We're going to be talking to him by phone. Give us an on-the-spot assessment of what the true situation is in South Africa. Also joining us later on is Barrister Frank TIETIE, who has been championing a demonstration against the xenophobic attacks here in Abuja. Just today, they were at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with their protests against the way Nigerians
Yes,
have been,
so they are availing us of it, where the Home Affairs Minister is saying such issues should be sorted out at the diplomatic level. But it's very heartening that Mrs. Abike Dabri reacted immediately and was telling the minister, I hope we also have her quote, telling the minister that, look, you can't be saying what you're saying when Nigerians, are losing their lives. And says that time is over when Nigerians will be maltreated by other countries and we keep quiet. And I also think, well, in the course of the discussion tonight, we'll get to know what our government is doing, because we really, really think the government should be more dramatic in this matter, should be more, straightforward and clear in the decisions it's going to take, because this thing is happening so many times.
So frequently.
So many times. So are we going to South Africa right away?
We're going to try to get to South Africa right away. We're going to be talking to Adetola Olubajo, who is Secretary General of the Nigerian Union in South Africa. They've been handling this matter. Mr. Adetola? Hello? Yes, Mr. Adetola? Yes, good evening. You are live on the O&M Late Show on AIT reaching you from Abuja. Tell us, Ade, what's the situation? You are in Pretoria. What's the situation with all the stories we are reading and seeing online with xenophobic attacks against Nigerians and other Africans in South Africa? What's the situation as of today?
The situation is relatively calm. Only attacks that we are experiencing for more than 2 days now is systemic attacks. And not actually a xenophobic attack, because we have actually looked at it as an Afrophobic attacks. Because no white migrant or Chinese migrant have been attacked, but the fellow Africans have been attacked by South Africans. The attack also has turned to a criminality act by some few locals who saw it as a liberty to loot the businesses, even in the night, like on Julie Street in Johannesburg on Sunday night and then Monday evening. Some foreign-owned shops were looted, and that is not even a xenophobic attack. That is just a case of common theft.
Yeah, but it's a fallout. It's a fallout. People, opportunists, were just using the situation. Yeah. So, but how did South Africans get to this point where probably they appear to be fed up with other Africans in their country and they want them out? How did they get to this point?
The situation is very complex because the African migrants, that is the foreigners in South Africa, they are the easy target to the government. When the government is lacking in their responsibility one way or the other, one of the ways to seek attention of the government is to attack the foreign businesses and African migrants, because there is some slack in terms of provision of basic promises that the current government has actually promised the electorate when they children for prostitution, among others, like taking their jobs and so on. But many organizations like ours, the Nigerian Union, we have launched a campaign against such crime and say, crime has no nationality. These crimes are being perpetrated by the locals and the foreign migrants. The foreigners cannot do this alone. The few minority migrants that are doing this, crime, criminal acts, they are in connivance
Yes.
with the locals. So we have launched the campaign against drugs and prostitution. We launched it last year in Kimberley, and we are working with a lot of civil organizations and then with the law enforcement agents to actually root out these bad heads. But to stereotype that this is only done by black Africans, because there is also a very unbelievable generalization here that any black man that is not a South African is a Nigerian, which is absolutely wrong.
Okay.
They see a Congolese on the street.
Oh, okay.
They call the person Nigeria. So that's why the name Nigeria always come up.
All right.
The people that are attacked is not just Nigerians.
Yes. What is the reaction of the South African government over there?
Yeah, like I said before, the government in some areas, I don't think I should miss word. They lack political will to deal with this issue.
So they are letting it happen.
Hello?
I said, so the government seems to be letting it go on, letting it happen.
Yeah, sleep, yes. Because after putting this recent attack in media, the president is moving around, and some of the comments is actually inciting, and then the police themselves sometimes, because the one that happened last week Friday, the police were seen looting with these criminal elements.
Oh.
Well, let me take a picture for you.
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah.
The people that came to attack people in Victoria West, close to where I live, they were not a resident of that area.
Okay.
They came in mass in their buses, and then when this attack started, police were called, and then police also engaged in such. So
They joined in the attacks.
We had to engage police on the highest level, and then they came out to rescue some of our people. But the damage has been done, and no compensation whatsoever.
All right. All right, Ade, what is the situation with casualties, finally? Does your union have any register of Nigerians that probably have died from this attack, or casualties that are in the hospital from injuries during the attacks? And does your union have any kind of records?
So far, there's no Nigerian casualty except economic casualty. Economic casualty in the sense that those who lose their source of their livelihood.
Okay.
There's no Nigerian that have been killed. There's no Nigerian that is currently in the hospital. Even the family that had to throw their children through the fence, they are fine. They are not in the hospital. There's no Nigerian casualty in terms of physical injury or death.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. That's heartwarming. That's good news to all of us. Thank you so much, Adetola Olubajo from Pretoria, South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on the O&M show.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a break. When we return, then we'll see what Nigerians are doing to send a clear message to the Nigerian government. Don't go away.
No, I want this, please.
No,
It's not everything that the president goes to everywhere prognosing.
In Agatu area you're talking about, the president put up a special presidential panel. How can the executive come and give us the rule that regulates our conduct within the National Assembly? That is interference.
For us to get the real budget as presented by Mr. President with the corrections, go through the budget process, pass it so that things will start moving.
The name of the immediate past president owns a plot on the Metama Hill. Desiani Alice Maduike owns a plot on the Metama Hills. Then companies were also used to cover the faces of some individuals and Nigerians.
And the Attorney General, by virtue of his position, he is the only minister given such immense powers created in the Constitution by Section 150. Now, that kind of person should be careful when exercising those powers.
I am a proud Igbo woman and a proud Nigerian, and I have served this country. I love this country. Come to think of it, I'm not married to an Igbo man. I married a Yoruba Muslim.
I saw Bob Marley bedroom. Many people don't know that. You know, Bob Marley is like Elijah. I'm Elisha. Okay. I have the double portion.
When would the African people come together?
O&M Late Show and O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mahmoudia Koga. Tuesdays, 11 p.m. and on Sunday, 2 p.m.
Joining us now is Barrister Frank TIETIE, who is of the Citizens Advocacy Organization.
KSA.
Yes, KSA.
Welcome, Frank.
Barrister Frank, welcome. As it has become traditional with your organization, KSA, you like to take on a lot of issues which affect, the public, affect Nigerians as it were. And I see that your latest, latest issue for which you have become very interested is the xenophobic attacks in South Africa, or rather what Mr. Adetola would like to call the Afrophobic attacks in South Africa, because, like he said, it's only targeted at blacks. The other Africans, other Arabs, it does not affect them whatsoever. But let's bring it home just to Nigerians. So how was, you organized a protest today to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. First, how did that go?
Well, I think fairly it was successful because we mobilized a number of Nigerians to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the police authorities were also cooperative. The Commissioner of Police deployed trucks of policemen to offer protection. The issue of permission to carry out the protest was not raised in any way. When we said we were going to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, other protests have been conducted, they have been carried out. The difference in ours was that this time around we were holding the Nigerian authorities responsible. In 2015, when we approached the South African High Commission in protests over the xenophobic attacks of April 2015, we went to the South African High Commission. We addressed the Deputy High Commissioner and told him that we came to warn him that it should never happen again, and that if it happens again, we would expect serious actions taken against them. And they took it. Now that it has happened again in 2017, we thought something was wrong. The South Africans didn't learn any lesson because the Nigerian government didn't take heed when we said that they must demand compensation for Nigerians who lost lives and property. I'm surprised that we hear now that no Nigerian life was lost. I don't think that's correct, because the records that we have that have even been quoted by government officials show that over the years, the number of xenophobic attacks that we've had have actually claimed a number of Nigerian lives. And we, this time around, thought that we should have a government that shouldn't be taking nonsense when Nigerians have been messed up. We cite an example to the officials at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that when there was a hacking of the DNC servers, email servers, the President of the United States ordered the diplomats, the officials of the Russian embassy, he ordered them to quit the country within 24 hours. Now, we hear in this case, there is a record from our estimates of about 160 Nigerians being attacked, some killed, some, maimed, some with property destroyed. And what our government does is to engage in diplomatic lingo. And that is what has happened before. And we felt that the government is becoming derelict in its duty. It's becoming irresponsible. It's failing Nigerians. It's beginning to lower the self-esteem and the self-worth of Nigerians. We expected more. The Americans would expel the Russians for hacking email servers. And the Nigerians would engage the South African authorities in studying the situation and making sweet and cautious diplomatic statements. We thought that was not Nigeria. The Nigeria we knew under Murtala Mohammed was not there. Even the Nigeria of Yakubu Gowon, as gentle as he was when he was head of state, wouldn't tolerate that. The Nigeria of General Olusegun Obasanjo wouldn't tolerate that. The Nigeria of Shehu Shagari wouldn't tolerate that. They would take, and good enough, there are reprisal actions that are legitimate in law. In Nigeria, we've seen it before, under the indigenization decrees, we've expropriated foreign-owned companies. We thought that for national interest. Now, if you have a recalcitrant government that is negligent in its duty, like the government of Jacob Zuma, in failing to protect the people, nationals, because it's a duty under international
other countries, yes.
Now, that country should be taught a lesson. And so we requested from the Minister of Foreign Affairs to initiate procedures that will see to the expropriation of South African companies like MTN, ShopRite, and MultiChoice. Claim them and nationalize them and say, look, if you can't guarantee the lives of our people there, then we don't guarantee your company, your business interests here too. So we seize them until you show to us that you are a responsible country that can observe its obligations under the United Nations systems, where migrant persons have rights. In Nigeria, for example, you can testify to that in this country, everybody is welcome. Especially the people with black skins. Nobody questions you. Nobody asks you for an ID card. If our Nigerians are happy, they are proud. When they point at that man, that guy is a Togolese, and then this other guy is a Beninois, and this one is from Cote d'Ivoire. And they're proud it gives that cosmopolitan feeling. And, even days where, sadly, when there were times where they needed to deport illegal aliens, just like Nigerians were even deported from other countries, but it was done with some civility. Not this time around. It happens in 2015, happens in 2016, happens in 2017, and the government is not taking things seriously. And we told the government that, look, if you think that if you don't do anything, it gives room for ordinary Nigerians to take laws into their hands, because people are sufficiently angry. You don't see, even if those people being killed, brutally macheted, the way we see it on social media, are not Nigerians. The true Nigerian government that we know, that has decided, as a country, as a nationalistic country, that Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. We paid the salaries of other countries. We funded Namibia. We funded, liberation movements. We paid so many. Yes.
The fight against apartheid was funded.
So Nigeria, look at what Murtala Mohammed did, for example, taking time to fund MPLA. Against what I interest in. I'm talking about Angola. Yeah, that was Nigeria. Yes. So even if it was happened to a Libyan or a Moroccan, the Nigerian government should give warning, to issue warning that, look, if this happens to any other African anywhere, even if it's in Ethiopia or anywhere, we will take serious action. But the Nigerian government appears weak.
Okay, TIETIE, I'll ask two questions. One is, educate us more on the legal rights of foreign nationals in a country like South Africa. And secondly, how can we, besides what you did today, which other ways can we compel our government to be more responsive to this kind of behavior to our citizens? Because In Libya, as we speak, we've heard stories of Nigerian ladies raped, killed, kidnapped, illegally imprisoned. And we see these pictures on the social media, and you hardly get a reaction from the Nigerian government. So what rights do we have as immigrants in South Africa? And what can we do as citizens in Nigeria to compel our government to be more responsive?
Let me tell you something. I'll answer your question, but I'll cite an example in a country like Britain that recently begins to pride itself as a center of diversity. And so Germany does, and the rest, though Britain has come to the point where they now have to realize that, look, there should be some measure of nationalism. The French are also tilting that way. The Americans have already declared that, look, we should be nationalist. And so a friend of mine that we're discussing, we're chatting, has made me to understand that, look, globalization is dying, and in fact is dead. But the truth is that under the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and even under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, one basic right is that every person shall have a right to leave a country of his origin and go to any country that he chooses to reside in, provided he is willing to comply, to subject himself to the laws of that country. That's the only condition. Now, this profiling against Nigerians in South Africa is wrong. We know what South Africa used to be in the apartheid days. I happen to be a very privileged person who at a point in time saw what we were living. I mean, saw the vestiges of the 70s, lived through the 80s, learned through the 80s, and then here I am, also witnessing the transition that we've had. South Africa, under apartheid South Africa, crime in South Africa was very high. A lot of you who studied these things before us knew that the South African police was rated to be one of the best because it was able to track black crime, that is crimes that are committed by black South Africans effectively. That's under Pieter Botha, and under Pieter Botha, that's apartheid South Africa. Black South Africans are notorious for being criminals, and that's why I asked the question today. I said, were the Nigerians that killed Lucky Dube? Lucky Dube was walking in the street of South Africa. It's not easy to walk in the street of Johannesburg. Lucky Dube was just shot and killed. Just like that. A very prominent musician like that should be a pride to any country.
There's even an undying rumor that they thought he was Nigerian.
Oh yes, they thought he was Nigerian.
That was why he was killed.
But you see, then Nigerians have not actually populated South Africa. It's as a result. Look, I have asked this question. Is it too much if Nigerians actually go and dominate something in South Africa? If they dominate any business. We're talking about menial businesses because the main businesses are still in the hands of the white South Africans. They begrudge.
80%.
Yes. Now, is it too much? Did you know how we funded ANC as a country? Did you know how we funded ANC as a people? Ordinary public servants who were contributing money. Did you know how the same way we funded other African countries, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the rest of them? Now, is it too much if, I asked the question, is it too much if Glo becomes has the monopoly of providing telecom services in Cote d'Ivoire or in Sierra Leone or in Liberia, for example? Nigeria doesn't get anything for all the monies it has spent. So Nigeria is not even dominating anything. But here we are. Look at what MTN is doing. Look at what ShopRite is doing. Look at what MultiChoice is doing. And I made reference to the fact that, look at the insult. When you look at independent media, for example, AIT, channels, and the rest of them, you make them go pay through their noses for high cost of licensing. And then you make the environment very unfriendly. Whereas independent media is the bastion of democracy. But you now make it easy for MultiChoice to come and determine what people watch here.
And this day, or AIT can hardly operate in South Africa.
Like they can't. They can't.
They tried.
They are stifled out
unkind law.
Where is Glo in South Africa? Now, let me tell you this. I'll tie this to the xenophobic attacks. Ordinarily, if we don't show some respect to ourselves, the people will take us for who we are. The Nigerian government and generally the Nigerian system doesn't seem to respect Nigeria. Now you want to shoot Big Brother Nigeria, for example. They don't even have the courtesy of calling it Nigeria. They say Big Brother Niger. And the Big Brother, and that's what Nigeria actually is. The Big Brother is to play the Big Brother role to South Africa and the rest of Africa, even to countries like Ethiopia. Let Nigeria has played Big Brother, and then you take it to go and shoot in South Africa. Now there is this, there's this poor esteem that Nigerian government has of its people. And then the South African have seen it, and they actually know that you do anything to Nigerians and nothing will happen. There is no basis why DSTV should have a monopoly of determining whether we should watch CNN or watch Fox News or not. Now, why don't you, what happened? I may be here, privileged to be here. What happened to DASAT? What happened to the rest of them that tried to come up? What happened? Now, the point is this. There is this, this inferiority complex that is pervading, and that's why this time around we didn't go to the South African High Commission. We went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and told them that, look, when you do have the right to go to the United Nations and call for United Nations General Assembly, session on the xenophobic attacks in South Africa, just the way you did, against terrorism, and see to it that this thing stops. But you won't do it. But if you don't do it, we will do it, and that means that you're failing in your as a government. We will take over the government from you, if that's what it means. And by the way, government belongs to the people. By the way, so we told them that, look, this crass negligence on the part of government must stop. This crass irresponsibility on the part of government shows so. Look, I reminded the officials today that Muritala Mohammed as the head of state of Nigeria will not tolerate this, will not accept this from any African country, and that immediately, and we saw some of those things, you could accuse Buhari as a military head of state of being high-handed. No. When the British wanted to mess us up, he messed them up, and he had ordered a British airborne. He had ordered it back to ground when he found that the British, it's what we call reprisal in international law. You do me one thing, I do you another thing that is commensurate with the gravity of what you have done. Now let's look at it. What has the Nigerian government done that is commensurate with this humiliation that is being given to Africans and to Nigerians? Nothing. This calls for a state of emergency in our foreign affairs, policy. What's this? Just imagine. You do this to Nigeria and nothing happens. It happened in 2015, and we said the only way it can be a deterrence to the government of South Africa and to South Africans is when the Nigerian government insists. And I got in touch with the president of the Nigerian Union in South Africa. I got in touch with him. I said, look, give us a compilation of the Nigerian losses. And he said he was going to do it. And I think he worked it out. And then I also approached the Minister of Foreign Affairs then in 2015 in my capacity as a civil society leader. I said, look, you've got to facilitate the compensation process of the Nigerians then. Make the South Africans pay. And now, it doesn't matter whether you say, okay, people have lost their lives and so how much. No. The concept of life assurance as an insurance product is that, look, there are some persons who depend on those people. They're dependents on the people who have been killed. So pay adequate compensation. This time around, they don't see it as a failure of governance. Now, it is not a South African problem now, it's a Nigerian problem. If the Americans will value their system to the extent that when you hack an email server, you get punished, go and kill an American citizen and see what will happen. But you can be assured that when you kill a Nigerian citizen, then people will begin to say, oh, Lord, we are studying the situation, we will respond appropriately.
Yes, but, Frank, what do you say about the issue of the allegations of criminality?
It's not true. It's absolutely not true.
That, Nigerians are the ones perpetrating the criminal activities that you have.
It's not true.
In South Africa.
It's not true. There are a lot of foreign nationals in our country, and you wonder whether the immigration service is doing its job. But I had addressed that issue when I said it's an unnecessary and unfair profiling of Nigerians. The crime rate in South Africa was very high before the influx of Nigerians into South Africa. Very high. And there is no mechanism. The only way of determining that Nigerians are, notoriously criminals criminal in nature in South Africa is by the records. How many convictions have you got? By the way, if you had all those xenophobic attacks in 2015, 2016, and now 2017, then the government should ask itself: has it prosecuted? What documentation has it gone? So if you let us have a sociology of crime here. So it's easy to carry out what we give a dog a bad name in order to hang it, and that's what they're doing. So you just say, they didn't even address the Nigerians in the first place. They started with Zimbabweans, they started with Mozambicans, they started with then a bit of Gambians, and then gradually moving to Nigeria. I just mentioned Gambia. Look at the country being funded by Nigeria. We supply them not only with money but with staff. I mean, technical personnel. How many countries in Nigeria have the Directorate of Technical Assistance? We did at the time have the Ministry of Integration in Africa. Come on, look at that kind of country. That is the vision that General Gowon, instituted when it says, look, Africa is the center policy. Let's give to Africa. Nigeria is not the kind of country that should have its national treated that way. Africa should not, Africans should not treat Africans that way, and Nigeria won't say anything.
Okay, because we're almost ending the program, TIETIE. Yes, immigrants have rights, but let's look at this angle to it. What are Nigerians actually looking for in South Africa that is not available here? What are Nigerians pursuing that they're not able to pursue here? Why should Nigerians expose themselves to this kind of inhumanity and wickedness, in quotes, when they can also do their business here and do well?
Let me tell you something. It's a human reality. It's a human issue. You also ask the question, what would the man be looking for in the moon? Is the earth not enough for him to stay in? The idea is that innate in a man is the desire to explore and to know the world. It's not because they cannot offer these services in Nigeria. People have dreams. And that's why we had sailors. So don't you say that, why didn't the English people stay within the small island of England? They wouldn't have come to Nigeria. They wouldn't have sold the English language as the most popularly spoken language in the whole world now. So the idea of being that adventurous spirit is innate in man. The Nigerians who are there in other parts of the world, they are not there because they're running away from conflict, but they are in search of the life that they dreamed of. Now they're in search of having an environment in which they can live out their dreams. It's not here. So first and foremost, when the government fails them in providing that environment, they look out to that place. That's why immigration is a right. It's a right. You see, there are no refugees. People that you see who go out there, they may just who are not. Those people you are referring to as refugees may just be undocumented persons. What we have is one earth. And I praise those who have promoted diversity. Unfortunately, globalization didn't deliver. Because you see the Chinese, they took over all the places. They go to Ghana, they buy mines, they go to everywhere. They are expansionists. And then who expands to the Chinese? Nobody does that. So it's imbalanced. So it's okay for people to migrate.
Okay.
All right.
We must thank you, TIETIE, for coming on the show. And we do hope that this continuous and repeated experiences of Nigerians in South Africa should spur the government to act. And then the demonstrations to...
We will act. We'll go to court. We'll go to the African Commission. We'll take action.
The responsibility of every government, Obiora, is for the protection of lives and property, including the lives of your people in diaspora. I'm
Obiora Ilo. Thanks for watching. On Sunday at 2 o'clock, we'll be back with another edition.
And I am Mahmoud Akuga. Do have a wonderful night rest. Bye for now.
From AIT Studio.